Hey, welcome to CineMike. For this episode I'm going to review Dunkirk, the new film from auteur director Christopher Nolan, who has a long line of critical and commercial successes that include movies like the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception. This time he is tackling a very decisive and important moment in 1940 near the start of World War II. On the beaches and waters of Dunkirk, the British and its allied forces from Belgium, Canada, and France had to fight for their lives to escape the surrounding German army. This is sadly an event that I don't think your average American is really that familiar with. It feels like a lot of us only care about our own history most of the time, so it's nice to see this part of history get a spotlight on it. There doesn't seem to be any better filmmaker than Nolan to capture this event. Bringing this story to the big screen would require a great deal of ambition, and Nolan is never short on that. So, with his reputation, expectations for his films are always really high. His movies also always offer great trailers, and the ones for this helped get us more pumped by cutting from one heart-stopping moment to the next with the rhythm of a ticking clock. The reviews have started to pour in, and many critics are calling this Nolan's masterpiece. Well, now that I've checked it out, I will tell you if I think that this met those expectations. I'm not sure if I can say that this is Nolan's best film because of the variety that his filmography offers, but I can definitely say that this is one of his best. It's absolutely relentless in its tension. I don't remember ever taking a breath, but I guess since I'm still alive that I must have at some point. And Nolan accomplishes this crazy suspense in visuals, pacing, and music. He has such an amazing eye for shooting sequences and really captures the scale of it all. Organizing all of the action, stunts, actors, and finding ways of shooting through all of this chaos, it requires an incredible amount of skills and determination. The story cuts between 3 different perspectives and timelines throughout the film. The editing is very brisk and it never lets you go. It's constructed like a symphony of visuals, knowing just when to cue one instrument over the other. Each cut is designed around moments of tension, so when we jump between these heart-stopping moments in all 3 stories, it feels like one big sequence. They complement each other. And speaking of complementing, Hans Zimmer has outdone himself with the incredible music in this. As was heard in the trailer, his score ticks away like a clock and builds so much suspense that you feel like there's a hand grasped tightly around your heart. Nolan titles the 3 stories as The Mole, The Air, and The Sea. The Mole takes place during a week and features Fionn Whitehead with Harry Styles, who's famous from the band One Direction. And we followed them along with a group of British soldiers as they struggle to get out of Dunkirk alive. The Air takes place over an hour and shows Royal Air Force pilots Tom Hardy and Jack Lowden as they try to protect the evacuation below from German bombers. Then The Sea takes place over a day and follows a pleasure yacht and its brave owner who, along with his son and his son's friend, decide to take it upon themselves to rescue survivors. This story features, and excuse me if I butcher some of these names, Mark Rylance, Tom Glenn Carney, Barry Keoghan, and Cillian Murphy, who plays a shell-shocked survivor who is a bit of a reluctant passenger. The actors in this all do a great job. They really get across fear and desperation, but also courage and strength. Kenneth Branagh has a smaller part as the commander who is in charge of evacuating the men from the beach, and he's so great at what he does that the camera can just hold on his face and you can see everything that needs to be said. I'm also always a huge fan of Tom Hardy, and he's responsible for the most badass moments and the biggest moments of heroism in this, I would say. He really would make a great James Bond. Just my opinion. A lot of the acting here is in the expressions and the physicality. I read an article where a critic said that this is comparable to a silent film, and I can see that. This is a film of few words, so characters only speak when they need to. It feels very natural given the situation of high stress and exhaustion that everyone is in, and I guess it does make it hard to know some of the characters better because the movie doesn't really focus on that. There just really isn't time for it. Sure, Nolan could have added on more character moments, but then the rhythm of the editing would have been disrupted. This movie knows where its focus is. Like, we also never cut away to the German perspective, and we also don't really get a lot of exposition. This movie just thrusts you into the middle of this desperate situation and expects you to keep up. The editing is one of the most impressive things about this movie, but it also offers one of the only flaws that I can think of. Nolan very quickly tosses out some text in the opening to mention the 3 different stories and how much time passes in each of them. If you don't keep this in mind during the movie, then you might occasionally feel disorientated. This is because the film cuts back and forth between stories which are not occurring at the same time. As one story cuts to the next, sometimes it will go from day to night and then back to day, and sometimes we'll also see a scene play out from one point of view, and then later in the movie we'll see the same scene play again from a different point of view. I do think that there's an argument that could be made that the narrative would be more clear if it was edited to follow the events in the correct order that they occurred. However, then we would lose the brilliant side to this editing choice, which is how it builds tension. So ultimately, I'd say that they made the right choice. Though I would love to see a cut someday that covers the continuity from beginning to end. That would make an awesome special feature for the Blu-ray release. One thing that I would recommend for everyone, though, is to do a little reading up on the actual event prior to seeing this movie. I think that will help it flow a little smoother for those of you that might otherwise feel a little disorientated. Plus, it's just a really interesting story. If someone twisted my arm for any other flaws, then I'd say that maybe one or two moments would have benefited from an R rating. It's hard to really capture the brutality of war with just PG-13. That said, I do think that Nolan did a great job working within that rating. The tone and atmosphere is brutal enough to make the movie feel R-rated for the most part. So in closing, Dunkirk is undoubtedly one of the best movies of the year. It's every bit as exciting and stunning as the advertising suggested. The movie may have fictional and composite characters, but it seems to really capture and respect the truth of the Battle of Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan has once again proven why he is one of the most impressive filmmakers working today, and you can bet that the Academy Awards will remember him and this movie during the Oscar season. At the moment, I predict this being a huge winner. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the very best that this particular film could be for me, I would give Dunkirk a 9. And that about covers it. Click like if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave a comment below. Tell me if you agree or disagree, and I also welcome you to subscribe to my channel. Also, you can now follow me on Twitter at CineMike Nerd. Anyways, until next time, this is Mike, signing off.